Hey, what is up everybody, Blades for here, and today for you guys another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video guys, we're going to be going ahead and doing the monthly tier list for global here, in which we will have another one for TW very soon, but this is going to be specified specifically for global themselves. We're going over every last one of the characters, their ups, their downs, and pretty much their reasons why. If you guys are new to the channel, of course I'll always be explaining exactly why these characters are moving up, why they're moving down, and why newer characters are starting at the place that they're starting. Whether it's their kits, the usability, SOS, guild boss, you name it, we got it. We try to take as much everything into a possibility here for everyone to really, pretty much enjoy the character or enjoy where they're played. But with this in mind here, hope you guys enjoyed the video and let's get straight into it. So currently you guys should see on my screen the tier list here, which is going to pop up immediately. And this is our old tier list, but what we have here is something a little new. On the last tier list here, it went from D to S, but now we have a new category being S+, seeing a lot more new characters have joined, and we're only going to be having some newer characters join very soon, which are also going to be Makoto Nijima as well as Vino, who are joining the fray. So I thought this would be no better time to go ahead and add that next little placement being the S+ tier here, mainly because I think, hey, it's definitely going to be needed for these next few characters. So how we're going to start this off is certain characters are getting moved up first. I'm going to have a move up section, then we're going to have a move down section, and of course I'm going to be trying to explain those why. Then we're going to get into the individual placements for exactly S+ tier, S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that here, but we're going to start off with at least moving up characters. So for moving up characters first here, the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is move up a few units to at least the S+ tier. Now the S+ tier is mainly going to be for characters who are pretty much used quite often here, who more or less could be very busted, or either just characters that can be used in all of Guild Boss or SOS. It honestly does depend on at least how this does work here. So no matter how we look at it, it's going to depend on where they place. So first character here is going to be Joker, moving up to the S+ tier here. And the main reason for this, because this guy does not leave. He's always around, whether it's SOS, whether it's Guild Boss being at least Dominion here, which is the angel that we always end up fighting here. He is very much so prominent. Even inside of just general use, such as like farming and things of that nature, as an AoE character, he is very prominent there as well, getting things done very efficiently and is very strong. This character without a doubt deserves to be in the S+ tier, and he's not really bound to hit just curse or just one team. He can be in multiple other teams, just you got to make sure you have a defender, or not a defender itself, a debuffer, a buffer, and more than less a sustainer. It just comes down to one of those things, or maybe you can do a little bit of a mix up. He's not really too picky on his teams here, so he definitely deserves to be here. Now the next character getting moved to the S+ tier, this is going to more or less be Leon. Leon himself is an amazing buffer here, and we've slowly come to at least see that over the days have been happening. And more than less than anything, this character even makes himself very prominent on TW at times as well. Without a doubt, he is a crit damage buffer with some also attack buffs here. And the more awarenesses that you get up with this character, which we're going to be taking all the 4 stars as per usual at their A6 amount, he becomes even more so dangerous. His character gives more and more crit damage the higher his A's are here, and it really does make him a huge force to be reckoned with, hence the reason he's going into S+ tier. He's not bound to just single targets, or at least he's not bound to just AoE damage DPSs. He can also be bound to S, or at least single target damages as well here. So he kind of just has a nice flexibility point that a lot of characters really do need. So I would at least suggest a lot of you guys to go ahead and keep him in the S+ tier, and notice that he definitely belongs here when it does come down to that situation. We won't even break down into the Moko versus him part, because it's just not even worth the conversation at that point. But the man is S+ tier. He's absolutely amazing, so I think you guys should definitely use the guy. Now the next character that we're going to go ahead and move on up here is not going to be in the S+ tier, but is going to be a character in the S tier. Now this character is going to be On. On is absolutely amazing. She's still used universally a lot in the fire team here, and no matter how you dice it, the fire team itself, whether it's just pure fire or maybe it's cattle and soy, they're usually clearing everything they get their hands on here. So it's kind of prominent that she should be in the S, or at least the S tier here. I don't want to put her in an S+ tier because we do have, of course, Joker up here absolutely holding it down. So On is going to stay in the S tier. She's still really prominent, really strong here, and the more awarenesses you get of this character, of course, the more prominent she'll even be when TW does, or at least when you guys might catch up to TW as well. So this character is really cool, really powerful. I think you guys should really use her a lot. She's definitely going to be a nice character to use. Next character that we're going to move up is Okyon. Now Okyon, as many people do not like to use her, is because, of course, not only is just kind of the voice sometimes, but it's mainly because a lot of us just use Puppet. But the thing that we have to notify, at least with Okyon here, is Okyon specifies, or at least specializes in attack percentage and EHR type amounts here. The more she does have these here, the better she's going to end up being. And the main thing with her is we usually would use Puppet for under level clearing or just under level sustainability. Well, at this point in time, we're not really under level clearing a lot unless some people are just going above and beyond, which even then, Puppet has her own little restraints. What I mean by this is because after a while, you can't really do that. You do need a little bit more of the damage side of things, such as like SOS or even guild boss, even general play even. If a lot of us want to clear things faster in general play, we more or less need to overwhelm the enemy with damage. Okyon really does help out with that. If you want higher scores in SOS for just damage points or even getting some nice elemental elements on the enemy in order to have some RNG for damage points, Okyon is a good person for that as well. This character comes in handy for a lot of this stuff here. Just she kind of got overshadowed at the very beginning because a lot of us were using things for just under level clears, while now we're finally starting to stabilize. So she definitely belongs in the S tier, seeing her usability has now went up. Now the next character that is actually going to be going ahead and moving up, but this is not going to be for the S tier here. This is going to be for the A tier. Next character moving up is going to be our man, not Sophia, I almost said Sophia, but Floret here. Now Floret is absolutely amazing as well. He's pretty much a substitute for Skull, hence the reason why they are pretty much side by side here, where both of which are extremely good. But Floret, once you do get that A6, is absolutely a reckon, or at least a force not to be reckoned with here. He himself is actually really darn good, and you don't have to invest like too much on his skills, but more or less just invest into his set effect. Once you do have everything pretty much down packed there, you'll have no problem with killing anything inside your way, while actually using him as an amazing substitute if you don't have at least Ryuji actually fully built up. It's not a bad thing to at least use this guy as a substitute. It doesn't hurt him too much at all, really. His whole usability is really much so worth it. So if you can actually get this guy built up, he's going to be clearing just as much as if you're using Ryuji, but with at least subtracting the actual cooldown time for at least some of your movesets. Seeing this character is now able to just sit there and just use his skill 3 into the skill 2, it's just going to be absolutely a ton of damage that you're going to slowly get off here, or at least you're going to notice you're getting off on the enemy. So really, the more you deal damage with this guy, the more you're really going to enjoy him, because he just gets better and better as the rounds do go on. Now for the next characters that are either moving up or down, this is where things are going to start to get a little bit heated here, because I know some of my people here are going not to like this, but some people are going to like this here as well. So the last character moving on up, and once again I said last character moving up here is going to be Yuki. Yuki is an amazing character. She recently found a lot of usability seeing Yusuke came into the game, and I feel like this is one of the things that's irrefutable. Yusuke is a very prominent figure, and of course once we have Yuki in the team actually helping out that defense, it really makes it very prominent that she isn't a bad character. The only issue that makes her not go any higher is she is a single target defender instead of an AoE defender here, and her defense values are kind of low, but doesn't matter in the long run, because right now she's definitely very prominent with SOS and guild boss, of course, thanks to Yusuke. So I think she definitely belongs in the B tier, but probably will fall off in the future. Now we're going to get into the very interesting part, and this is going to be the move down section. Now this section is going to bring some people happiness, or is probably going to bring some people some anger here, and the main reason why I say that is because lots of my views have ended up changing due to, of course, the patches. A lot of you guys got to understand patches do change, so a lot of characters are going to slowly change as well with the monthly downs. Well, one of these characters are going to be Cattle. Cattle is absolutely amazing, but unfortunately the poor man at this point in time, seeing we have Marion, both him and Mona are kind of hard locked into B tier instead of actually being higher than this. They're both still amazing healers. Cattle still helping out with the buff section, but at this point in time, you can't physically do anything to kind of keep this man into the meta any longer. So unfortunately, he's going down to B tier. Now the next character that's getting moved down, which does hurt my soul a little bit here, is going to be Key. He's going down to the C section, and that's mainly just because this dude is only going to be used in the fire team, and with fire being very finicky, especially when it comes down to at least the guild boss section, you're not really going to use them too much, because for the fire team itself, a lot of people, instead of using Key, they end up using Soy, because that gives them a little bit more sustainability. So it's usually Soy and LaFell instead of at least having Key there, and with the amount of stuff that Key really can do, it doesn't make him too good. He's still a decent debuffer, but he's too tied down to a fire team to really make use of him, and that is his main problem. If he wasn't really tied down to a fire team to make a lot of use out of him, then he would be very much so way better. But unfortunately, fire is all he's about here, so the man has to move down on the tier list. And then our last one here to move down is going to be Mont. Now 4-star Mont, she has never been a character that has been like absolutely insane here, and that's mainly because her kit kind of just absolutely undermines everything that she's meant for. She uses skill 2, skill 3, which is really nice, but the issue is coming down to the damage percentage. Seeing her damage percentage is very low at this point in time, and not really anything can save that. Even her 5-star weapon, she makes a very strong point to not be ultra good, and that is a huge problem when it does come down to it here. This character, without a doubt, needed to move down. She was good at the very beginning, seeing of course at this point in time we were just using anyone to get up. She still can be used for at least the Velvet trials, but even here we end up having Yusuke now, so most likely if you ended up pulling for Yusuke or just was one of the lucky souls who got him on the first multi or anything like that, you won't be using this character. And even if you are, she still definitely belongs here. So it's kind of saddening to see it happen, but this is the character's actual fate at this point. But these are all the ups and downs here, so let's get into more of the hardcore stuff, which is going to be moving certain characters in. Now, once again, we're going to be moving in Makoto and Vino here, and I'm going to thoroughly explain exactly why here. But our first one that's moving up to the S+ tier is going to be Yui. Yui's a very prominent figure. She's absolutely amazing. She's really good for at least the guild boss and single target community for when it comes down to SOS. And I won't lie to you, absolutely amazing character once they ended up buffing her. After the little buff, it pretty much did change her just a decent bit to make her more noticeable. Just on TW and KR didn't make her too crazy, though I do have to give her flowers. This character is insane, to be honest, and seeing that it's so early on global, she's definitely going to hold this spot for quite some time. This is more or less because she's a follow-up character who can hit some insane damage markers here, and seeing that they actually increase that a little bit more, it does help out. But in the future, she is going to end up going down, and that's mainly just because her follow-up percentage is a little bit lower. But I will say, she definitely will hold down maybe an S tier or at least an A tier in the future, seeing that without a doubt, now that she has that little bit of a rework, she's going to do a lot better than normal. So I would say this character is going to stay in S+ tier for now. Just keep in mind in future updates. Then we have the next characters that are going to be added here. One of those characters going to the S+ section is going to be Minami. Now Minami here, without a doubt, I feel like a lot of you guys already know where I'm going with this, is pretty much a universal just buff / supporter. No matter what happens here, she's going to keep your team wholeheartedly healed, so there's no point in arguing that. But if you do have her A1, which I'm not really going to rank them off of their A1s, but I'm just going to mention it for here, she is a decent buffer as well. Even if you don't have the A1, as a healer, she's pretty much a universal key piece or a keystone here, so you can use her anywhere where you feel like you're losing out on a little bit of health, or either losing out on that sustainability, and she will be perfect for you. And so reason being the S+ tier here, she's going to be absolutely amazing for a lot of you guys who summoned for her, and very obtainable in the future when they do go into the standard section. But for now, she's going to stay in the S+ tier as an amazing healer. Then we have our next character. Our next character is going to be Yusuke. Yusuke is going to find himself in the S tier, and the main reason for this is because, as usual, we have Joker holding it down for the S+ tier for AoE DPSs. Now, that doesn't mean that Yusuke is bad by any means. He's actually a really good character with an interesting gimmick being the counter attack. This man can knock down enemies pretty easily as well, while dealing some decent damage. The only issue with him is going to come down to his damage percentages. See, he is based off of defensive capabilities here. The devs kind of forget him a little bit, and even in his own patches, he's not ultra prominent compared to at least Joker. You're going to be using them, of course, due to the SOS and guild bosses, seeing that he did recently just come out, so they're going to be favored in him, or at least favored for him. But still, in terms of absolute usability in either general use, overall just for bossing, he's not going to be just that character that you're going to use, and it's very easily to notice this. He's still absolutely amazing for now, so he is going to the S tier, but he could not make it to the S plus tier, and I feel like a lot of you guys might end up agreeing with me on this one. But now we're going to go ahead and talk about the last two characters, which I'm going to add them both at the same time here. One of them immediately being the S tier, or at least S plus tier for Makoto. I did it once again here, where I meant to put him in meant to put Makoto down before him, but we have Makoto being the S plus tier and then Vino being the S tier. With this both in mind here, Makoto is absolutely insane. She does some gigantic type damage here when the nuke comes out here, and she's going to be coming out swinging. Her awarenesses are pretty darn decent, but the main thing that we're looking at this character here is going to be not only just that highlight, but that amazing skill 3. You can spam it pretty easily, and even when it's not in its enhanced form, it does some decent damage. The more element stacks that she has on the enemy, the more she's going to end up dealing damage, so it really does solidify her placement inside of the S plus tier. Her team isn't fully finite though, because her last slot, which can either be Ford or Minami, both is pretty nice, or you can even decide to use Leon. She has multiple decisions on her last team, so it kind of saves her a little bit, especially when it comes down to what tier she's going to end up being. But with the overall amount of damage that she can deal, she's definitely one of the few characters that are going to go into the S plus tier. As for Vino, she's going to stay in the S tier, and the reason for this because she's an absolute amazing character as a single target 4-star here, and quite literally could have been a S plus tier if she was a little bit AoE as well. This character does some nice damage bonus, at least in taking for the enemy here, while also taking down their defense as well, which is very much so prominent. When she does release here, she'll bring out the aspect of more elemental elements inside of an actual fight here, making a lot of things more solidified and set in stone for dealing damage. She can place shock on enemies, fire, winded, anything you name it as an elemental element, she can most likely end up doing, and this is going to be more or less due to her kit. After you go ahead and use her single target, or at least down, or at least her single target defense down being the skill 1, the skill 3 is also going to be a main deal for you. So the more elemental elements that she has on you, the more damage the enemy can end up taking, and the easier the fight's going to end up being. She's going to be very prominent for single target type battles here, so I feel like a lot of you guys really want to have her as a S tier 4-star. But for now, that is all the characters that we need to go over here. Let me know down below in the comment section if you agree with this tier list. If you don't, of course, let me know exactly why. Tier lists aren't perfect at the end of the day, but I do try my hardest to at least provide as much knowledge as possible in order to keep them in a solidified aspect. But for now, thank you guys for watching. Peace out.